In a previous life, he married me following his mentor's advice, yet I treated him with extreme coldness, until he was killed by a rival. Among his belongings, I found a stack of love letters he had written to me. Every line spoke of the pain of unrequited love. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to 3 years earlier, the year we were just married. I burst into his room, saw his injured arm, and asked with tears in my eyes, "Jiang Yan, does it hurt?" He paused for a moment, then resignedly closed his eyes, his voice rough. "What now? Are you going to rub salt into my wounds?" 01. In my past life, until the day I died, Jiang Yan's love letters were still mocked online. His rival not only took over his business empire but also ridiculed him on camera as a wretch unloved by anyone. In an attempt to clear his name, I was involved in a car accident on my way to the TV station and tragically died in my last moments. I wished that Jiang Yan would never meet me in his next life. 02. When I woke up from the darkness, I still felt pain. Scattered congratulations reached my ears. "Mr. Jiang and Miss Wan, happy first anniversary. Jiang Yan and I, our first anniversary." I suddenly looked up. The bright white light was so intense that I could hardly open my eyes. After a brief ringing in my ears, I found myself at a reception. Around me, glasses clinked. A much younger Jiang Yan was sitting beside me, his expression cold. Blood trickled down his pale knuckles, drop by drop. His hand was injured, a dinner knife fell to the ground. The waiter apologized with a terrified face. "I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang." I didn't hold it steady. A surge of sadness welled up inside me. I couldn't help but call out his name, Jiang Yan. Suddenly, a meaningful laugh came from across the table. "Miss Wan, I took revenge for you. How will you thank me?" Looking in the direction of the voice, I saw a familiar face, Jiang Yan's rival, and the chief culprit of his death in my past life, Song Jingping. I shuddered all over, suddenly remembering that day, at our first anniversary banquet, I had argued with Jiang Yan and spitefully said, "If I talk to you again, I'm a dog." During the meal, Song Jingping deliberately had someone injure Jiang Yan's right hand. Out of politeness, I coldly told the waiter, "I hate blood. Please clean it up." "Thank you." That comment led to a misunderstanding. Jiang Yan simply wiped the blood away from in front of me and continued to discuss partnerships in pain. Because the wound wasn't treated in time, Jiang Yan's precious hand was permanently disabled. It would ache whenever it rained, and eventually, it became the weakness that cost him his life. Now, seeing Jiang Yan emotionlessly pulling out a tissue to wipe the blood in front of me, my heart instantly clenched, aching painfully. I pushed Jiang Yan's arm away and stood up abruptly. "Song Jingping, I demand an explanation." My reaction stunned everyone. There was a dead silence. Jiang Yan was taken aback, his dark eyes quickly turned to me, and after a brief moment of heartache, they returned to silence. He closed his eyes. "Wanhee, no need for this. If you find me dirty, I'll just change my clothes." Wait a minute, he thought I found him dirty. I suddenly grabbed Jiang Yan's sleeve, all my past restraint gone, under his puzzled gaze. My eyes reddened with anger as I furiously grabbed a water glass and hurled it at Song Jingping. "Song Jingping, apologize to my husband." The room fell silent. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, I firmly shielded Jiang Yan behind me, appearing wronged. In the palm of my hand was Jiang Yan's cold wrist, trembling slightly from pain, all because I had once said before our marriage, "I want a comfortable life." Jiang Yan was determined to secure this deal tonight at all costs. The smile faded from Song Jingping's face as he wiped the water off his shoulder and asked darkly, "Miss Wan, didn't you used to hate Jiang Yan the most? What are you pretending for now?" The gentle touch under my palm felt so real at that moment. Even without looking at Jiang Yan, I could feel his stiffness. I pulled out a tissue, quickly wrapped it around his wound, and said, "This is just a quirk between us as a couple, something an inhuman thing like you wouldn't understand." Song Jingping's face darkened. "Wanhee, you." In that instant, I remembered how, in my past life, after Jiang Yan had died, Song Jingping had described him using filthy words. I grabbed anything I could and smashed everything I could at him. Minutes later, Song Jingping was covered in seaweed egg drop soup, his face also marred. As I walked out of the hotel with Jiang Yan, light rain began to fall from the sky. The spring rain was quiet and oil-like. I was still reveling in the joy of being reborn. Suddenly, Jiang Yan pulled his hand away, his tone strained. "All right, there's no one here now." I turned back to meet his cool, beautiful eyes and was momentarily spellbound. It was hard to imagine that at this moment, he was secretly writing me a love letter. Jiang Yan avoided my gaze and said coldly, "I have a meeting to attend. You should go back first." "I won't." "Wanhee, can we argue another day? I'm just too tired tonight." He stood in the drizzling rain, his delicate and distinct features hidden in the shadows, his eyes dim. The traces of blood on his lips and jaw added a morbid beauty to him. I held his hand, unable to hold back, my eyes welling up with tears. When I spoke again, my voice was tinged with sobs. "Jiang Yan, I won't argue with you anymore. Your hand is injured, let's go to the hospital." "Okay." He suddenly looked up, disbelief in his eyes, a struggle flickering within. Soon, it returned to stillness. Hee hee. How do you plan to torment me this time? Want to rub salt in my wounds? In my past life, I wasn't good to Jiang Yan. He was calm and restrained, his demeanor indifferent, and he married me following his mentor's advice. I subconsciously felt that he disliked me. Over the years, we became a resentful couple. It was only upon his death that I suddenly realized how deeply my feelings for him had penetrated my bones. The evening breeze was dizzying. I couldn't hold it in any longer, and I burst into tears while clinging to his arm. Jiang Yan, please don't die. I'm scared. This man, who had always been cold towards me, suddenly stiffened, a momentary melting in the depths of his eyes. He eventually postponed the meeting. Stop crying. I'll go. Jiang Yan remained silent throughout the doctor's treatment of the wound. I was anxiously asking the doctor if there could be lingering effects, my emotions suddenly collapsing as I spoke. After all, following Jiang Yan's death in my past life, I had run around trying to protect his reputation, enduring much disdain and injustice. It seems some habits are hard to break. Jiang Yan's gaze stayed fixed on my profile, his thoughts inscrutable. After the doctor finished with the wound and removed his gloves, he turned to Jiang Yan. Mr. Jiang, your wound is not serious. However, your wife seems quite shaken. Jiang Yan's expression stiffened, and he quietly responded, sorry, my fault. I've been arguing with her a lot lately. The doctor, understanding, joked, try not to pick on her. She seems very attached to you. Jiang Yan covered the bite mark I left during our earlier argument and muttered quietly, understood. When we left the hospital, my eyes were swollen. I held onto his bandaged hand and refused to let go. Jiang Yan's secretary, standing by the car, looked troubled. Mr. Jiang, about tonight's meeting. It was already late at night, and such work intensity was probably why Jiang Yan eventually fell ill. Startled, I moved closer to Jiang Yan. I'm scared to sleep alone. Jiang Yan's expression blanked, his eyes deepening. Do you realize what you're saying? Until today, I had never gotten close to him, let alone acted coquettishly. I buried my head in his chest, as if to say, if he didn't come home with me, I wouldn't let go. Jiang Yan couldn't outlast me in the end. The Rolls-Royce smoothly entered the villa area. As the night quieted, I looked at the familiar villa, and my frantic heart began to calm. Jiang Yan was still alive. We were home, holding Jiang Yan's warm hand. I was planning how to warn him about some people. As we approached the door, someone suddenly called out to me. Didn't you promise to celebrate my birthday with me? The person stood under the streetlight, its cold white light illuminating a tear mole at the corner of his eye. His hood fell back, revealing a strikingly beautiful face. It was my childhood friend, Song Xian, also, from my past life, the relative who stayed by my side until the end. At that moment, I remembered I had promised to meet him earlier tonight, but due to Jiang Yan's injury, it had been delayed until now. Upon seeing him, Jiang Yan stiffened. He coldly let go of my hand. Oh no. He had misunderstood again. From the love letters I had seen in my past life, I knew Jiang Yan had always mistakenly thought I liked Song Xian. I wanted to explain, but Jiang Yan cruelly avoided my touch. I have a meeting. I'll go home first. Jiang Yan. Before I could follow him, Song Xian held me back. Speaking gently, he said, the cake is ready. Come, get in the car with me. As I watched Jiang Yan leave, my heart was in turmoil. Song Xian, it's not even your birthday today. What are you up to? Song Xian's smile stiffened. I just can't stand seeing him treat you coldly. What's wrong today? I wasn't in the mood to explain and simply stretched out my hand. Where are the documents I asked for? Song Xian's eyes dimmed slightly. Jiang Yan doesn't appreciate it. Why do you still want to help him? In my past life, I was afraid that Jiang Yan would suffer losses in business. After finding the information on Song Jingping through Song Xian, I secretly placed it under Jiang Yan's pillow. Jiang Yan probably never saw it, and eventually, he was schemed against and utterly defeated. This time, I had to hand it to him personally. Song Xian handed me the documents, then suddenly grasped my hand. I have a stomachache tonight. Could you stay with me? His words were exactly the same as in my previous life. Back then, I saw Song Xian's pale face and was terrified, rushing him to the hospital overnight, but the doctor told me, he's just hungry, it's nothing serious. He'll be fine after eating. So, I pulled my hand away from Song Xian's and said helplessly, go find somewhere to eat. I still have important things to do. With that, I hurried home. I thought that with Jiang Yan around, at least the lights would be on at home, but it was pitch dark all around. Dim light cast from the study. Relying on my memory, I made my way to the study door. There, I saw Jiang Yan's figure. He wasn't in a meeting, but was writing something on paper, looking somewhat lonely. The freshly bandaged wound was faintly seeping blood. Jiang Yan was completely unaware. My heart clenched, and I pushed the door open. Jiang Yan, what are you doing? The man sitting by the window was startled and looked up to see me. I rushed over, snatched the pen from his hand, and scolded. Do you not care about your freshly bandaged hand? He probably didn't expect me to come back tonight. After a brief moment of surprise, he discreetly covered the finished documents and looked at me silently. I lost my temper. Jiang Yan, have you lost your mind? Have you forgotten what the doctor said? Which is more important, your hand or your work? Do you even care about what I've told you? After a series of questions, a rare blank expression appeared on Jiang Yan's face. I'm sorry. He suddenly apologized. I didn't expect you to come back. I was taken aback, unable to scold him any further. He was probably afraid that I would stay with Song Xian tonight. My heart softened. And I carefully unwrapped his bandage to replace it with a new one. I have nothing to do with Song Xian, Jiang Yan. It's you that I like. The breathing above my head suddenly became very light. Jiang Yan averted his gaze. After I finished bandaging him, he picked up the remaining items and walked out. As if avoiding something, I rushed in front of him, my voice trembling as I confessed for the first time, Jiang Yan, I said I like you. The night was deep. Jiang Yan's eyes were unfathomably deep. His voice hoarse, he said. Let's stop here for today. If you're done making a scene, go to sleep. He still didn't believe me. I pulled out the documents I had just received from Song Xian from my bag and handed them over. Here is Song Jingping's information. I hope you can surpass him. Jiang Yan's gaze fell on the thick stack of documents, a bitter smile of self-mockery flashing in his eyes. I didn't get the reaction I was expecting. Grasping Jiang Yan's sleeve, I asked. Why don't you believe me? Is it really necessary to resort to certain measures to make him open up about his true feelings? Biting my lip and blushing, I untied the ribbon of my skirt and then shakily embraced him. I am sincere about you. In the darkness, Jiang Yan tensed up. A faint malice grew in the night air. His large hand suddenly pressed against my waist, and as the fabric tore with a crisp sound, I felt a chill. Immediately after, I was pressed down onto the sofa by Jiang Yan. His eyes swirled with a deep inkiness, his hand tightly gripping my chin. He hoarsely said. You would go to such lengths for him. It seemed he was angry. Tears welled up in my eyes. Jiang Yan, it hurts. He let out a laugh, cold and devoid of warmth. You deserve the pain for deceiving me. My whole body shivered, clutching tightly at his shirt. I didn't. Jiang Yan seemed furious with me. His rough hand gripping my fragile neck. He said word by word, that document, it's all fake. You wanted me to follow it, to die at Song Jingping's hands, didn't you? So you could be with Song Xian, right? His words shocked me. What are you talking about? Song Xian is Song Jingping's half-brother from the same father. Didn't you always know? My eyes widened in astonishment. By heaven and earth, in my past life until my death, I never knew their relationship. Realizing this, my face turned pale. So in my past life, Jiang Yan's death was partly because he thought I wanted him dead. Tears streamed down uncontrollably, and ignoring Jiang Yan's fury, I hugged him tightly. I'm sorry, Jiang Yan. I'm sorry. Jiang Yan scoffed with a mocking laugh. Enough. Too much drama makes it unreal. Leave while I can still control myself. I clutched his shirt tightly, my knuckles turning white. I won't go. I've said it. I will never leave you. The air pressure in the room dropped, a calm before the storm. Jiang Yan looked as if he would kill me the next second. So you're betting that I really can't do anything to you? I silently met the gaze of the man in front of me. In his eyes, I saw a growing obsession and madness. I shivered. Fearlessly wrapping my arms around his neck, hubby, it's too cold, shall we go to the bedroom? The next second, he flipped me forcefully and pressed me down on the sofa. Jiang Yan's hard, burning body trapped me in a tight corner, dominating my senses forcefully. His cool, bewitching voice came through. You started this. If you think of running away, I will kill you myself. I never knew that Jiang Yan could lose control like this. It felt like plunging into a scorching deep sea. Helplessly clinging to the driftwood in front of me, anxious and tense, the night was dark, and Jiang Yan's broad palm intertwined tightly with my fingers. The force nearly crushed my bones. Jiang Yan, I'm scared. You don't have a choice anymore. Tonight, all my cries turned into broken whispers. The night wind stirred the curtains, the starlight outside the window blurred into a hazy halo. At some point, it exploded in the sky, turning into a brilliant trail of light, helplessly. I looked out at the moon, crying and begging for mercy, only to receive an even harsher punishment from Jiang Yan. Bad girls must pay the price. The next day when I woke up, my legs were weak, the bed was empty beside me. The chaos of last night's bed, along with the traces left by Jiang Yan, had been cleaned up as if nothing had happened. I checked my phone and found several missed calls, all from Song Xian. And they were from late at night. I hadn't heard them. He had also sent me a message. Got your ticket. I told you, the VIP seat will always be yours. I glanced at the calendar, only then did I remember. Next week I'm supposed to hold a violin concert, the only VIP ticket in the center. I had sent to Song Xian. At that time, I thought Jiang Yan definitely wouldn't go. I started to panic. Scrolling through my phone, there were no messages from Jiang Yan. Did he know? I called Jiang Yan, and his secretary answered, Miss Wan, Mr. Jiang is in a meeting and can't take your call. Fine. Pretending not to know me after waking up, I said faintly, please tell Mr. Jiang I'm feeling a bit unwell. Suddenly, Jiang Yan's voice came through the phone, cold and terrifying. What's wrong? I curled up on the bed, letting out a faint moan. I fell when I got out of bed, because I couldn't stand steady. The call ended abruptly, the beeping sound was coldly impersonal, as expected. I had annoyed him, even coquetry was no use now, after a while. I casually threw on one of Jiang Yan's shirts and wandered downstairs to the living room, then called Song Xian back. He answered immediately. Why didn't you answer my calls last night? Touching our photo together, I asked him. We're best friends, right? Song Xian's laughter came through the receiver. Of course, remember back in the orphanage, you wanted to be a violinist, I wanted to be a superstar, and we promised to always be together. Now, those words sounded somewhat surreal. After all these years, had I really seen Song Xian clearly? In my previous life, it was Song Xian who helped me sort through Jiang Yan's belongings. That stack of love letters, seen only by the two of us, ended up being exposed to everyone unexpectedly. I had thought it was the relentless paparazzi. But now, I suddenly wasn't so sure. Song Xian was still talking non-stop on the phone. Did you receive the gift I sent you? I looked towards the corner where the gift box was piled up, still unopened. It must have been sent by Song Xian a few days ago. I vaguely remember it was a large plush toy. On stormy nights when Jiang Yan was absent, I would always endure by holding that toy. I briefly responded a few sentences, walked up to the gift box, and unwrapped it. The shiny black eyes of the big white bear looked somewhat goofy and adorable. Although it had accompanied me for a long time in my past life, I always felt a discomfort in my heart. I picked it up, intending to stash it in a storeroom. But unexpectedly, the door suddenly opened. Wearing a short, thin shirt, I struggled to drag the teddy bear and found myself face to face with Jiang Yan, who had just returned home unexpectedly. His gaze paused on the toy, and he pursed his lips without speaking. Why are you back? I felt somewhat guilty. I came back to get something. Jiang Yan passed by me with a cold expression, without glancing sideways. I kicked away the bear and clung onto him tightly. Jiang Yan, he stiffened, closed his eyes, and said, "Get off." I gritted my teeth. My legs are weak, I can't stand. Enough. Jiang Yan suddenly turned around, supporting my waist. I don't care about your tricks. You can keep Song Xian's gift if you want, but as I've said, you are mine. You'll never be able to get rid of me. My face flushed inch by inch. Jiang Yan exploded in anger. I really love him so much. Husband? Jiang Yan paused, startled by my call. Bravely, I lifted my eyes, giving him a fragile and innocent look. Song Xian already gave me a gift. Why don't you give me one? He pursed his lips and remained silent. Under Jiang Yan's icy stare, I cried profusely. Heaven knows, you married me but do not love me. I might as well be dead. Minutes later, Song Xian's teddy bear was thrown out the door by Jiang Yan. I sat by the window, now wearing a brand new diamond necklace. Jiang Yan, aren't you going back to work? Without a word, Jiang Yan bent down and kissed my incessant talking lips. It was still daytime. I was dragged from the front door to the upstairs bedroom, previously penniless, now adorned with a necklace and a bracelet. That crazy Jiang Yan even put a bell bracelet around my ankle. I touched them joyously here and there. When did you even buy all these things? Jiang Yan still wore a stern face. He lifted me and sat me on the windowsill. It was then I realized things were getting out of control, unfortunately. It was too late. Crying, I cursed him as a bastard. Jiang Yan's voice was strained. Being messed up by a bastard, isn't it what you asked for? Jiang Yan is a very guarded person. He still refuses to believe the sweet nothings I tell him, yet, he couldn't resist my closeness. Fortunately, this time, I had enough patience and time to slowly melt away the barriers in his heart. Lately, everyone around me says I've changed. I've become lovesick. During a break in a violin rehearsal, I twisted like a shy snake in the lounge. On the phone, Jiang Yan sighed helplessly. I'm in a meeting, just tell me what it is. I called him more than a dozen times a day. Jiang Yan was always very aloof. However, they will all come. This gave me immense courage. Next week, can you come to my concert? There was a pause on the other end, falling into silence. I didn't give him a chance to react. I'm causing a scene, having a famous violinist on stage, and my newlywed husband doesn't care. I will become the laughingstock of everyone, never recovering from this fall. Jiang Yan, you're going to ruin me. Okay, Jiang Yan interrupted my rambling. I'll just go. After hanging up the phone, my manager looked shocked. Teacher Wan, you two really have a great relationship. He must be very stable emotionally. Thinking of Jiang Yan's attitude towards me, I felt a bit down. Yes, quite stable. So stable that he doesn't want to talk to me at all. By the way, that VIP seat, the manager smiled slightly. The organizers said they could open a second-floor private VIP room just for your husband. Don't worry, it has the best view in the house. Tomorrow night, you will dazzle him like a fairy. In my past life, I completed a grand and splendid violin solo amidst thousands of flowers and applause. Song Xian, the movie star, sat in the audience, looking at me with a tender and affectionate gaze. That event had once topped the trending search list. Even though I clarified it, people still subconsciously paired us together. No one knew that after the curtain call, I sat alone under the curtain, typing a message to Jiang Yan. Did you see my performance? After hesitating for a long time, I still didn't send it. I was like a love-starved child, trying to stand in a conspicuous place, making a scene, but the person I secretly loved still wouldn't spare me a glance. The concert was as grand as it had been in my previous life. The venue was packed with people, many of whom had come because of my fame. The appearance of the movie star Song Xian pushed the evening's excitement to a climax. You look beautiful tonight. Song Xian stood in the crowd, handing me a bouquet of flowers. Knowing his relationship with Song Jingping, I felt a bit awkward in my heart. Thank you. Song Xian's eyes, bright as stars, rested on my face, seemingly expecting me to say something. I just nodded slightly. It's about to start. Please excuse me, dressed in a gorgeous outfit. I stood at the center of the stage, my eyes fixed on the middle of the second floor. My palms were sweating with nervousness. It was pitch black up there, completely empty. Disappointed, I lowered my head. Indeed, Jiang Yan hadn't come, but it didn't matter. The stage lights gradually dimmed, and a spotlight fell on my face. Standing in front of the microphone, my voice was soft. Actually, besides the violin performance tonight, I have another important announcement. I know everyone has been very curious about my personal life over the years, even during the holidays. You all start urging marriage. Laughter rippled through the audience. Someone even started chanting Song Xian's name. I leaned closer to the microphone. Actually, I'm already married. I lifted up the large diamond ring on my ring finger, staring blankly towards the second floor, and said with a smile, Mr. Jiang, I love you. The whole venue erupted in murmurs. Who is Mr. Jiang? Could it be that well-known entrepreneur, Jiang Yan? Oh my, this is huge news. I thought she was paired with Song Xian. I totally shipped the wrong couple. Amidst the surging tide of chatter, I raised my violin. Jiang Yan, tonight's performance is played for you. This piece is called Unrequited Love. It was composed by a younger me, all for Jiang Yan. Unfortunately, back then, youthful and fragile in pride, I was overly sensitive. I didn't know how to express myself. That's why we missed out on so many years. The melody of the violin resonates, carrying the bittersweetness of a young girl's first love, echoing through the auditorium. At this moment, I didn't know that in the originally empty VIP room, a tall and broad figure stood silently for a long time. His eyes reflected the person at the center of the stage, his heart uncontrollably quickening, pounding against his ribs. A dull pain tugged at him, mixed with an irrepressible joy spreading throughout his body. He raised his hand. With his fingertips, he touched the gentle, beautiful face from afar, like touching a mesmerizing siren of the sea, fully aware of the peril, yet still willingly approaching alone. In the midst of searching and gazing around confusedly, he said with a bitter voice, I'll trust you one last time. If you deceive me again. His fingers tightened in the air, a hint of despair flashing in his eyes. I won't let you go. 09. After the curtain call, I rushed backstage hurriedly. Did Jiang Yan arrive? My manager nodded. Yes, Mr. Jiang wasn't late. Without looking back, I dashed towards the banquet hall, trembling slightly in anticipation of the upcoming encounter. Did he see the gift I prepared? Would he embrace me and say, tonight's performance was spectacular? But I searched the entire venue and did not find him. Song Xian appeared beside me at some point. Were you just acting? I avoided his touch. I have something urgent. He gripped my hand, a bit too forcefully, yet his face wore an enchanting smile. Since when were you and Jiang Yan so close? I shook off his hand forcefully. Shouldn't we be? We are married. Song Xian's face stiffened, his handsome features shadowed, his lips curling slightly. Is that so? But it seems like he has left. That's impossible. Jiang Yan wouldn't leave. Suddenly, my manager came rushing. Teacher Wan, there's been an incident. Someone swapped the gift you prepared for Mr. Jiang. I found this backstage. I looked at the manager. The bottle of champagne I had carefully prepared for Jiang Yan lay untouched in the trash can. The packaging was nowhere to be seen. Jiang Yan had seen that gift box. He must have guessed it contained his gift. The champagne is in the trash. What then was in the gift box? Song Xian chuckled softly. Tonight, I'll present you with a drama. I turned around, meeting his sinister, crazed gaze, my heart suddenly sinking. Song Xian chuckled lowly. Guess, if that scoundrel Jiang Yan knew you tricked him into coming here, what would he think? Did you still love someone who was drugged in the wine you sent him? My brain buzzed. I couldn't hear anything. What did you put in his wine? Facing my pale face, Song Xian spoke lightly. Right now, he's probably in bed, making love with some stranger. NBSP, I don't know how I ran out of the banquet hall. I called Jiang Yan many times, but couldn't get through. Finally, I had to rush to the front desk. I am Jiang Yan's wife. Could you please tell me which room he is in? The person apologized. Sorry, ma'am, there's no information on Mr. Jiang in our system. The agent was calling the organizers. Check under the name Song Xian. Something struck me, and I grabbed her arm, my voice trembling. No, let him check under Song Jingping. Song Xian was so audacious because he was sure no one knew about his connection with Song Jingping. Sure enough, a few minutes later, I received a room number. Late at night, I ran down the corridor, my long dress trailing behind. I banged on the door. Jiang Yan, open the door. The door creaked open slightly. A glass flew past my ear and shattered against the wall behind me. Get out. A hoarse voice came through, followed by a woman's scream. I burst into the room. The scene was chaotic. The woman's dress had slipped down to her shoulders as she tried to crawl up and throw herself at Jiang Yan. I was furious, grabbing her hair. Amid her screams, I dragged her towards the door. Who the hell are you? Let go of me. Slap. I slapped her hard. And seeing her face, a chilling cold swept through me. Lin Hanxue, the girl who silently loved Song Xian in my past life, I had even helped her. So, it was indeed Song Xian's doing. At this moment, Lin Hanxue didn't recognize me. She lay on the ground, her eyes full of resentment. Jiang Yan touched me. I'm going to call the police. The agent covered her mouth. You like calling the police so much? Then let's talk in front of them. At that moment, Jiang Yan arrived with the police, rushing in. Fear finally appeared in Lin Hanshua's eyes. Miss Wan, is President Jiang okay? Jiang Yan's secretary looked worried. I said, tonight, I'll stay with him. I won't let anyone near Jiang Yan until dawn. Everyone left. I closed the door and collapsed on the floor, completely drained. Before I could catch my breath, a large hand suddenly grabbed my neck, pulling me up from the floor. Bang, my back slammed against the door. The strong smell of alcohol overwhelmed my senses. Jiang Yan's eyes were bloodshot. Get out. Tears welled up from the pain, a feeling of suffocation overcoming me. Jiang Yan, it's me, Wan He. Hearing my name, a flicker of struggle passed through his eyes. Yes, I tried to soften my voice. Slowly reaching for his forearm, it's I've come for you. A faint blush spread across Jiang Yan's fair face. Wan He is not like this to me. He seemed very confused, his expression pained. She doesn't love me. He always spoke coldly. You're not her. I saw Jiang Yan's barely stabilized emotions fluctuating again, and in a rush, I suddenly chilled my tone. Jiang Yan, is this how you treat me? Jiang Yan stiffened, his eyes misted with a foggy moisture. I steeled my heart. Take your hands off. Jiang Yan jerked his hands away as if burnt. Fresh air rushed into my lungs. Jiang Yan leaned against the wall, his head bowed, his eyes closed, his handsome profile hidden in the shadows, his face smeared with blood, conveyed a seductive brokenness. As if he had been wronged, I coughed. My voice hoarse. Jiang Yan, go back to bed. Don't make me repeat myself. His lips trembled. Okay. I quietly breathed a sigh of relief, no matter the method, as long as he obeyed. He knelt by the bed, slowly lowering his body, breathing erratically. I saw Jiang Yan's ears flushed red, and his neck and collarbone tinted with a layer of pink. It was clear, Jiang Yan was in discomfort, but because I was there, he would rather grit his teeth and remain silent, unwilling to let me see any sign of it. My heart softened terribly. I carefully grabbed his tie. He was gently lifted by me, looking up at my face with a devout and confused gaze. Don't move, I commanded softly. Kneel properly. I'm going to take off your tie. Jiang Yan's hot breath spilled on the back of my hand, the touch of his fingertips scorchingly tantalizing. I turned off the light. The tie became a bond tying his hands to the bedpost, to prevent him from hurting me in his confusion. He stretched his neck, showing a pleading look. Seeing his helpless appearance, I suddenly felt a wicked pleasure. I leaned over him and gently bit Jiang Yan's lip. Mr. Jiang, just give in to me. No. He closed his eyes, murmuring, I want. I curved my lips. I am. Loves you. He seemed bewitched by me, quietly, without a word. At first, Jiang Yan was obedient. In the darkness, his suppressed, shallow breaths were so enticing. Please don't do this. Don't do what? I playfully continued to stir up trouble on his body. However, the moment the tie loosened, everything abruptly stopped. The restrained beast finally broke free from its cage. I started to panic. Jiang Yan, you bastard. Go back. Don't touch me. Unfortunately, he couldn't hear anything. In the darkness, the clear ringing turned into the charge of battle. The fierce battlefield spread wildly in the dead of night, becoming more intense, life-threatening. You can't reason with a beast that has lost its mind. You can only be ruthlessly devoured and bitten by him. Then, planted full of his traces, it was excruciating. At dawn, I finally kicked away the frenzied beast, wrapped myself in clothes, and fled. Miss Wan. You don't look well. What happened last night? In the police station, Secretary Jiang Yan's reminded me with an unnatural expression, remembering the embarrassing escape that had just happened and being caught on the spot. I wished I could just disappear into the ground, uncomfortably changing the subject. Can we hurry this up? I need to get back. By the time I left, Jiang Yan had already fallen asleep. Fortunately, the situation hadn't gotten worse. Finish the statement quickly. And let tonight's incident be over, everyone would be happy. Only a few hours had passed since the incident, and Song Jingping was still unaware that Lin Hanxue had been taken away by the police. By now, the internet was already buzzing with the hot search they had arranged. Jiang Yan suspected of cheating with a hostess. In the photos, Jiang Yan and Lin Hanxue were clearly seen entering and exiting the room. In just half an hour, this topic skyrocketed to the top. Netizens lashed out, as expected. All men are scum. Just after Wanhee announced her marriage, Jiang Yan slapped her in the face. Get a divorce. He doesn't deserve Wanhee. I was just about to post an update when my manager held my hand. Wait a bit longer. You have no evidence. And it will only make people think you are silently bearing it. Making excuses for Jiang Yan, the police will issue a notice by noon at the latest. The statement was completed at 5:30 a.m. I dragged my tired body back to the room. The curtains were not yet drawn, and it was dim all around. Wait. Why is the bed empty? Jiang Yan, where is he? I stood there bewildered. My heart tightened, and the next second, a fiery body tightly hugged me from behind. Jiang Yan's lucid voice came through, filled with a broken despair. Where did you go last night? I didn't react immediately. Huh? I asked you. Where did you go last night? Jiang Yan clenched his teeth. His calmness tinged with madness. I didn't go anywhere. Wanhee, he pressed me harshly onto the bed, his reddened eyes tightening my heart. Did he misunderstand something? Jiang Yan trembled with pain. Wanhee, doesn't your heart hurt? You hate me, you could let me die, but why do you humiliate me this way? My mind went blank. How did I humiliate you? Is sleeping with me filthy? This remark provoked Jiang Yan, who let out a desperate laugh. Drugged me, let someone defile me, ruin my reputation. Divorce me, and then what? Do you want to see me dead? His lips still bore the marks of my bite. Like a young man ravished by someone, I suddenly saw his phone on the bed. Displaying the news that had topped the hot search, Jiang Yan thought, he had slept with someone else last night. My expression became very strange. Wait, listen to me. As I moved, my dress tore. The next second, my body covered in kiss marks was exposed in front of Jiang Yan. Jiang Yan stopped. Despair surfaced in his eyes. He trembled as his lips met mine. Humbled voice. Who did this? Wanhee, please tell me. Who was it? He not only forgot how he tormented me last night, but also thought I was cheating. I couldn't hold back the frustration that I had endured all night, and it suddenly erupted. I burst into tears in front of him. Jiang Yan stiffened, unprepared for my reaction, and I kicked him several times. You jerk. Jerk, jerk. Who else could it be but you? I only slept for 2 hours last night. How can you not let me sleep? Jiang Yan's face took a solid slap from me. A red mark quickly appeared. He stood there, stunned. Wanhee, a ripple of despair rose from the depths of his eyes, tinged with disbelief. Soon, it spread like shimmering light. I cried loudly and threw my phone into his chest. It had photos I secretly took of him last night. I had intended to keep them to look at secretly later. There was also a short video, thinking to blackmail him heavily once he woke up, but the recording didn't go as planned, and Jiang Yan, breaking free, turned the tables. The video plunged into darkness, capturing my pleas and curses. The voices that would normally cause embarrassment now rooted Jiang Yan to the spot. Panic flickered in his eyes as he looked at me helplessly. Wanhee, I thought it was a dream. What about you? I couldn't contain my anger any longer. My long-suppressed petulance bursting forth. You want a divorce, don't you? Go ahead, you faithless scum. Jiang Yan was nearly kicked off the bed by me. That finally snapped him back to reality. He grabbed my wildly kicking legs and held me tight. I will take responsibility. Ignoring my struggles, he said. As long as we don't divorce, you can do whatever you want. Hours later, I abruptly opened the door. I stepped out with an air of authority, arms crossed. People waiting at the doorway turned their gaze towards us. Jiang Yan, in his suit, followed me, a tall figure in silence. Reporters swarmed us. May we ask if the rumors online are true? Did you really betray Miss Wan by having an affair with a hostess? Jiang Yan said nothing, his dark eyes fixed on me, as if he heard nothing else. I flipped my hair and covered my mouth, feigning surprise. No way, spouses can't even check into a hotel room without you gossiping about it. The person from last night has been taken to the police station. Please stay tuned for the police report later. The barrage of questions from everyone gave me a headache. Jiang Yan coldly swept over the crowd, covering my ears. Excuse us. With that, he led me away from the crowd. His men held back the throng of journalists. Once we were far enough, I shook off his hand and got into the car. Throughout the ride, I couldn't help but feel a bit smug. I always feel like I'm missing something. Jiang Yan silently looked at me. Just a few hours ago he was nearly overwhelmed by darkness, yet now he seemed unusually compliant. I raised my hand. Don't you think my thumb, index, middle, and little fingers are missing a few rings? Who would be kind enough to give them to me? Jiang Yan pursed his lips, uncomfortably shifting his gaze. I'll buy them for you. In a second, I snuggled up to Jiang Yan, smiling warmly at him. Jiang Yan, he swallowed, closing his eyes briefly. I love you. This time, he didn't ask me to leave. Instead, he looked at me and awkwardly responded, I love you too. As the parties involved, Jiang Yan and I went to the police station. After understanding the situation, the police quickly issued a notice. Lin Hanxue was temporarily detained pending prosecution. As the news spread, discussions swirled online. It was inevitable that there would be gossip. I can't believe one he would cover for such a man. Exactly. Who would want such a sleazy man? Upstairs, they're probably just a union of interests, probably doing their own things behind closed doors.
Ha! Ha!
No matter what, Jiang Yan is still a damaged cucumber. Jiang Yan and I returned home. As I opened the door, I continued to nag and caution him, don't pay attention to the nonsense on the internet, people just say things, don't take it to heart. In my previous life, after Jiang Yan's death, rumors about him were rampant, driven by Song Jingping. There was even a time when antisocial elements splashed gasoline on Jiang Yan's tombstone, fearing he would get hurt. I went to check his phone, log out of your account. You're not allowed to log in these days. Before I could finish, Jiang Yan held me tightly in his arms. We didn't turn on the lights in the villa, time quietly flowed in the silent night. Hee, my body belongs only to you, don't abandon me. Eventually, Jiang Yan shed his tough protective shell and bared his heart to me. Tears welled up in my eyes as I buried myself in his embrace. Jiang Yan, I have a story. Do you want to hear it? I told Jiang Yan a lot. About our missed connections in the previous life, about Song Jingping's despicable acts, about my past with Song Xian, about the people Jiang Yan should be wary of, but when it came to the end, I fell silent. Jiang Yan listened intently and hit the nail on the head with his question, how did I die? I shuddered in his embrace, as the nightmare that had tortured me countless nights swept over me again. You fell off a cliff, Song Jingping tricked you, saying I was at the mountaintop. During your climb, someone tampered with the brake pads, and you were thrown out of the window, holding Jiang Yan's cold fingertips. I sobbed uncontrollably. You had an old injury in your hand. You couldn't even grab the last branch. To this day, the words, Jiang Yan is dead, still haunt me like a nightmare. When I arrived at the scene, all I saw were the wrecked vehicle and chaotic scratch marks in the mud. Jiang Yan had fallen into the ravine. His body was never found. Every time I dream of it at midnight, imagining his appearance before his death, my heart aches so much that I can't breathe, falling from such a height. How painful it must have been for him. Jiang Yan gently patted my back and kissed my forehead. Let's not talk anymore. Let's stop here for tonight. I stubbornly held on to him. The people I just mentioned. You have to remember them. Jiang Yan's eyes were deep, filled with enchanting tenderness. Silly hee. I know all these people. I was stunned. Jiang Yan managed such a vast business empire. How could he not be shrewd and calculating? The information I had gathered was merely glanced at by him before he dismissed it as fake. But why in my previous life, seeing my confusion, Jiang Yan sighed, lowered his head, and kissed me. In this world, you are the only one for whom I would willingly die. If you asked it of me, I would stop struggling. Tears hung on my face, already cold. I suddenly stood up, staring blankly at Jiang Yan. I won't let Jiang Yan die. But what if someone impersonates me? Song Xian. My murmuring tightened Jiang Yan's expression. It's Song Xian. I stumbled to my feet and grabbed my phone. Suddenly, my hand was held. Jiang Yan stared at me anxiously, uncertainly asking. You said you'd always be with me, I shouted hoarsely. Damn Song Xian. I'm going to settle scores with him. He and his idiot brother deceived me so badly. Jiang Yan was taken aback for a moment, a flicker of clarity crossing his eyes. Minutes later, Jiang Yan held me as I raged, his lips curling up involuntarily. All right, calm down now. In his arms, trembling with anger, I said, I was definitely deceived by him, that scumbag talking to you. Jiang Yan bowed his head to hug me, burying his face gently in my neck, humming lowly, he is a scoundrel. The buzz about this incident was still suppressed. Lin Hanxue disappeared without a trace. Jiang Yan said, Song Jingping has an underground money house in Beicheng, where dirty money cleansed comes out spotless. I suddenly realized, no wonder in my past life, he dominated both the underworld and lawful realms. Unchallenged, I sat on a sunlit lounge chair. Jiang Yan watched me quietly, his eyes filled with a soft glow. He suddenly called me, caught off guard, meeting his dark eyes. I suddenly remembered those unspeakable nights recently, which made my heart race and face flush. Why suddenly call out to someone? This time, I will win. I propped my chin, smilingly leaned closer, my fingers twirling at his collar. So, Mr. Jiang, do you want my help? Jiang Yan's Adam's apple bobbed, gripping my wrist. How would you help? I muttered for a long while. Jiang Yan's face darkened. No, I straddled him. Don't you think Song Xian's resources are excessively good? Both Song Xian and I came from the same orphanage. I was adopted by Jiang Yan's mentor, went abroad to study music, and achieved my accomplishments through the strict guidance of my foster parents, whereas Song Xian reached the pinnacle as soon as he debuted. Good opportunities came one after another. Even winning a Best Actor award in his debut year, I always thought it was Song Xian's luck, but now knowing his connection with Song Jingping, I thought of more, seeing Jiang Yan still stern. Refusing to budge, I said smilingly, the business world is your turf, but the entertainment circle might not be as clear to you as to me. Approaching Song Xian is the best strategy. Without getting rid of this tumor early, how can I be at peace about having children? Jiang Yan's eyelashes trembled slightly. Children. I pecked on his lips. Don't you want children? Don't you want to give them a stable and happy future, if it's a daughter? Would you have the heart to let her live in constant distress from the moment she's born? Jiang Yan's expression gradually became solemn. I won't allow it. Good, we're in agreement then. It was only at this moment that Jiang Yan realized he had been led into my line of reasoning. His voice deepened. Wan He, facing my resolute gaze, he finally gave in. I promise you, but you must return to my side every night. The night before my father's birthday feast, I made a call to Song Xian. The phone rang for a while before Song Xian answered. His voice was husky. You finally decided to call me? I sobbed over the phone. Song Xian, you were right. Jiang Yan is a jerk. I shouldn't have helped him. I regret it. The one being called a jerk was currently sitting opposite me, peeling lychees for me. Hearing this, he squeezed the lychee so hard that it bore the imprint of his fingers. Song Xian's voice relaxed. It's good that you've realized. We've grown up together. How could I lie to you? Tomorrow at your dad's birthday feast, I've bought a gift for you to bring along. Also, you owe me a concert. I bit into the lychee flesh that was handed to me and licked Jiang Yan's fingertips. Seeing his hand stiffen, I murmured contentedly, see you tomorrow. Unsurprisingly, because of these few sentences, I ended up not eating any lychees that night. I was dragged into the bedroom by Jiang Yan, crying. When my father was young, he used to teach at a business school. His students were everywhere, therefore, his birthday feast was particularly grand. Song Jingping was naturally on the guest list. To make the act convincing, I returned home alone in advance. Seeing me come back alone, my parents looked disappointed. How are things with Yan? Over the years since our marriage, the ongoing Cold War between me and Jiang Yan had always been a sore point for my parents. For the sake of a thorough plan, I hardened my heart and replied, it's still the same. On the day of the birthday feast, my relationship with Jiang Yan once again became the focus of everyone's gossip. Jiang Yan entered, greeted his teacher, and mingled with people in the circle as usual. I stood by the railing on the second floor, wearing a light golden mermaid dress, watching Jiang Yan, dressed sharply, surrounded by people, restrained and dignified. Song Jingping was standing opposite him. President Jiang acts decisively, snatching business at the last moment. What kind of hero does that make you? Jiang Yan chuckled lightly. All is fair in war. In business, what makes you or me a good person? I stared at Jiang Yan's profile, lost in thought. Miss Wan. Someone noticed me standing there and waved at me from below. Everyone looked up and gasped. Jiang Yan stopped talking in an instant. His gaze followed the crowds to me. His dark eyes lingered on my face for a moment, then trailed down along my jawline. It felt as if I had been scalded, my ears burning. I subtly turned and descended the stairs. Under Jiang Yan's watchful eyes, I walked toward Song Xian, who was waiting on the side. Song Jingping swept away his earlier gloom and burst into loud laughter. Successful in business, unlucky in love, it seems Miss Wan prefers the young and handsome. I dared not look back at Jiang Yan. In my heart, I had cursed Song Jingping 800 times. Did he not know that his casual remarks would lead me to misfortune tonight? Just as Song Xian was about to provoke Jiang Yan, I pulled him back sharply. Shut up. In the past, Song Xian and I loved playing in the small garden. Years later, the garden remained lush and verdant, watching Song Xian digging. I asked, are you related to Song Jingping? Song Xian stiffened, his back to me. Did Jiang Yan tell you? Yes. Before he could react, I thumped his head twice. You have a wealthy brother and you didn't tell me sooner. Are you an idiot? Are you an idiot? Song Xian, dazed by my hits, his usually brooding eyes suddenly softened. Wan, you. I faced him, anger written all over my face. If I had known your brother was rich, I wouldn't have married Jiang Yan. Song Xian's expression remained unchanged. He stared at me for a moment, a smile blooming in his beautiful eyes. No way, you can't marry my brother either. I'd rather have you stay with me forever. Suddenly, a memory from a past life flashed through my mind. After Jiang Yan's death, Song Xian squatting in front of Jiang Yan's tombstone, saying the same words. Back then, my heart was shattered, and I pushed his hand away. Not long after, I died in a car accident. The warm spring sun shone down, yet I felt a chill all over. Trying to sound casual, I asked, what if I refuse? Song Xian's handsome face remained smiling. The teardrop mole under his eye seemed more enchanting as he smiled. Then I'll just have to bury you in the ground. A shiver of dread ran up my spine. I froze, unable to speak. Suddenly, Song Xian clutched his stomach, laughing so hard that tears came out. If I can't scare you to death, Wan, then you are really an idiot. Don't you dare curse me next time. Impatiently, I brushed his hand away. Your brother is so rich, and you don't get me some money to spend, yet you expect me to stay with you, ridiculous. Song Xian resumed digging. If you want, I can get some for you. It's not like I don't know how to make money like my brother. I clenched my fists tightly. I lowered my head and took a couple of deep breaths. I couldn't ask anymore. Today had to end here. I collected myself and looked up, meeting Song Xian's thoughtful gaze. My heart skipped a beat. What are you doing? Song Xian smirked. Aren't you going to ask me how I make money? Not interested. I pursed my lips. What exactly are you going to give me? He placed a ceramic figurine, covered in mud, into my hands. The craftsmanship was somewhat naive, yet the figurine's features bore a striking resemblance to mine. Song Xian said, I made this before my debut, thinking that if I ever became famous, became a movie star, I'd dig it up and give it to you. Why didn't you give it to me before? Song Xian smiled. A mud doll made by an orphan. Who cares about a big star making something valuable by hand? I'm just worried you might find it distasteful. I initially wanted to say that, regardless of status, a gift from a friend is always something precious to me. But recalling Song Xian's bizarre behavior in my past life, I ultimately didn't speak up. I simply packed up the clay figure and said, it's getting late, let's head back. Okay. The elderly had left the banquet early due to their age, taking advantage of a moment when Song Xian was occupied with greetings. I went back to the bedroom on the second floor to rest my feet. As soon as I entered, my hands were pinned behind me and I was pressed against the door. Jiang Yan's voice was muffled and deep. What have you been up to? Feeling the strong jealousy from behind, I curved my eyebrows and my voice took on a teasing tone. Guess. His response was a domineering and forceful kiss. Suddenly, there were footsteps outside the door. Hee, are you in the bedroom? The clear knocking sound shattered the intimate atmosphere. Startled, I trembled all over and whispered to Jiang Yan, Song Xian is here. His rough and slender hand recklessly tore away the obstructing barriers. In a second, he plunged me into a tumultuous sea of desire. I held my breath, eyes wide in disbelief. Jiang Yan, you're crazy. It seemed Song Xian was trying to call me. Just as I was about to reach for my phone, Jiang Yan snatched it away and turned it off. He wickedly nipped at the protruding bone at the back of my neck, easily disrupting my composure. Daring to think of him, you bad woman, I bit my lip. Unable to resist teasing him, a bad woman you still love, his impact made my voice break. At this moment, I was truly grateful that the door was soundproof. Song Xian couldn't find me and soon left. Jiang Yan's sexy husky voice brushed past my ear, causing continuous ripples. April 21st, I left a lipstick mark on Jiang Yan's shirt. He didn't confront me. May 13th, my newly bought hot mini skirt grabbed attention. Jiang Yan didn't even look at me. In the darkness, my eyes widened in shock and I started to curse angrily. Jiang Yan, you bastard, who allowed you to sneak a peek at my diary, trapping me in your boudoir? With the diary spread open on the bed, it would be hard not to look. Oh no. I hastily scribbled something last night and forgot to put it away this morning. Jiang Yan seemed particularly moved. He brought me in front of the diary, pinched my chin, his breath hot and tender. Read it to me. My face flushed red, defiantly. Don't even think about it. Do you think I'm too old? Jiang Yan's obsessive streak flared up again, refusing to let me go. Is my body not good? Can't I satisfy you? I was speechless, just shaking my head repeatedly. No, unsatisfied. Jiang Yan seemed not to understand, repeatedly proving himself with his body. Now, still shaking your head, until I cried out. He showered my body with tender kisses, mostly with his fingertips, all because he had seen Song Xian holding my hand. Finally, under his forceful coercion, I embarrassingly read out the secrets from the diary that I was ashamed to reveal. Jiang Yan couldn't hold back. He chuckled softly, with tears in my voice. I angrily rebuked him. How dare you laugh? The next second, he kissed my fingertips. I'm laughing because I've finally seen the light after the clouds have parted. Thankfully, Jiang Yan had the sense not to dirty my pale gold dress. When we reappeared before everyone, I had a stern look on my face, clearly furious. Jiang Yan's face bore a faint imprint of a slap. He remained silent. The guests eyed us both cautiously, not daring to ask any questions. My mother sighed. Between husband and wife, you need to learn to tolerate each other. Remembering Jiang Yan's reckless behavior just moments ago, I glared at him hatefully. I can't tolerate it at all. It was me who was being bullied, yet Jiang Yan acted all innocent and clever in front of the elders. It was utterly ridiculous, because he discovered the secret in my diary. I was utterly humiliated. From that day on, I moved back into my parents' house. The promise I made to Jiang Yan about coming home every night was also unfulfilled. This time, Jiang Yan wisely kept silent. Time flew by, and autumn arrived. In a few days, it would be Jiang Yan's birthday. I secretly planned to prepare a surprise for him. After much effort, I got in touch with an old classmate. Did I hear that you can buy stars there? You mean naming rights to stars? Yes, get me the 2 closest ones. I'll send you the names later. With that settled, I eagerly awaited Jiang Yan's birthday. Jiang Yan had been busy lately, traveling far and wide for business, hardly timely in his responses. I connected with Song Xian. He introduced me to several people from the Song family. Unbeknownst to me, this vast group of parasites had already corroded various industries. Song Xian moved through it effortlessly, no longer the person I remembered. I gathered quite a bit of evidence, only Song Jingping, being cautious, never appeared within my sight. I wanted to dig deeper, but Jiang Yan seriously warned me, don't follow them anymore, leave the rest to me. With this evidence, Song Jingping's business suffered heavy losses. Perhaps the events of the past wouldn't repeat themselves. Using illness as an excuse, I temporarily cut off contact with Song Xian. Today is Jiang Yan's birthday. Early in the morning, I held a pregnancy test with 2 lines and made a call. Remember to come home tonight, I've prepared a surprise for you. Jiang Yan was somewhat reticent today. I chattered a lot. Jiang Yan just listened. Finally, I grew tired of talking. Hearing the familiar breathing sound from the headset, I couldn't help but tease. What are you doing? Why aren't you talking to me? Jiang Yan pondered for a while. Can you wish me a happy birthday? I was surprised. Don't you know I've prepared for tonight for a long time? Jiang Yan laughed. I can't wait. No, wait for tonight. Seeing my determination, Jiang Yan just smiled. I quietly placed the pregnancy test into a box. Tonight's surprise will be something you'll never forget. I love you. This confession came so unexpectedly. I blushed and quickly hung up the phone. The news of my pregnancy caused quite a stir among the elders. They were overjoyed. Mom, supporting me, said, good. Good, let's go to the hospital. Hurry. Dad held her back. But Yan just told us. Mom seemed to remember something, paused for a moment, then said, let's call the family doctor. I'll phone Dr. Chow. Uncle Chow has been looking after my parents' health for years and watched me grow up. He's deeply trusted by my parents. After examining me, he stroked his beard with a smile and said, it's almost certain, but you should still visit the hospital another day to be sure. The house was filled with joy, and we invited Uncle Chow to stay for lunch. When I went back to my room for a nap, a message from Song Xian suddenly flashed on my phone. Unable to resist the drowsiness, just before passing out, I vaguely saw a sentence. We agreed to be together for a lifetime. I slept very deeply. When I opened my eyes from the haze, I found myself in a moving van. The strong diesel fumes were nauseating. A large hand slowly stroked my hair. And Song Xian's indifferent voice came through. Song Jingping and Jiang Yan, I've had people watch them. Dog eats dog. Neither of them will survive tonight. It took me a while to realize what was happening. Was I actually with Song Xian? Seeing me awake, Song Xian showed a gentle smile. You're awake. Why didn't you tell me earlier about the pregnancy? I shivered, violently shaking off his hand and shrinking into the corner. Why am I here? Song Xian, half his face shrouded in darkness, spoke in a lazy tone. Jiang Yan is really thorough, all thanks to Uncle Chow and his severely ill daughter. Otherwise, seeing you would have been difficult. Seeing me staring at him warily, Song Xian suddenly grabbed my jaw and pulled me towards him. His smile turned sinister. Because of that bastard Jiang Yan, you dared to leave me. Guess how I will punish you? A wave of nausea hit me. I covered my stomach and began to retch. Song Xian's face darkened, and he shouted, stop the car. The van door opened, cool air rushed into the vehicle. I ran out of the van, leaning against a railing, vomiting uncontrollably. In the distance, the myriad lights of homes twinkled like scattered stars. The wind blew, rustling the leaves. As I saw the scene in front of me, my legs gave way. It was this mountain again. In a past life, Jiang Yan was buried here. I've walked this road countless times, even with my eyes closed. I could recall every blade of grass and tree. Where's Jiang Yan? I grabbed Song Xian, screaming like a mad woman. Where is Jiang Yan? Song Xian sneered. Probably fighting a life and death battle with my brother. He should have known what awaited him at my brother's feast tonight. My body trembled, suddenly remembering the phone call this morning. It felt like someone was gripping my throat. Can you wish me a happy birthday? Don't you know how romantic I've been preparing for tonight? I can't wait. Let's not talk now. Wait for tonight. I covered my mouth, slowly curling up into myself. Jiang Yan never intended to come back alive. His eyes downcast, he lamented, after tonight, the Song family will be greatly weakened, leaving only me to lead those useless fools. But at least, Wan He, you'll die with me. Song Xian's furious shouts echoed through the gorges. While he was busy ranting, I grabbed a rock and smashed it hard on the driver's forehead. The driver fell to the ground with a thud. I scrambled into the car, trying to seize the steering wheel, but suddenly, headlights from all around flashed on, illuminating the surroundings as bright as day. Ultimately, Song Xian dragged me out of the car by my hair, his eyes brimming with malice. He laughed angrily. Wan He, why can't you ever learn to obey? You always liked me the most, so why did you let that wretch throw away the teddy bear? Under my fearful gaze, Song Xian grinned. Without it, I wouldn't even be able to see you. A bone-chilling coldness spread throughout my body. He had placed a surveillance device inside the bear's eyes. In my past life, I had held it every night as I slept. I roared fiercely. Why are you doing this to me? I've never harmed you. Song Xian paused, then laughed. I didn't say you harmed me. I don't hate you. I love you, but sadly, you betrayed me, and now you carry another's seed, so, shall we die together? You're insane. Suddenly, someone ran over from afar. There's trouble with little Boss Song. Why panic? That person's voice trembled. Boss Song is dead and Jiang Yan is still alive. Song Xian scoffed. He can't possibly think that with Song Jingping dead, all his troubles are over, right? There's still a bunch of fools waiting to kill Jiang Yan. That person handed over a photo. Jiang Yan was injured, his chest stained with blood, kneeling on the ground. I began to struggle violently, desperately clutching at Song Xian's hand. I pleaded, please, don't kill him. My humble cries echoed through the woods. Song Xian stared at me expressionlessly. Seemingly amused by the situation, he helped me up and handed me his phone. Let's play a game. I snatched the phone and dialed 110. Song Xian said, the police are all busy over there right now. Jiang Yan's life is likely safe, of course. You can also call the police to bring them here, but I guarantee, the moment you make the call, Jiang Yan will die a horrible death. I froze, hearing the police's voice from the phone. Hello, 110, how can I assist you? The wind in the mountains blew through my hair. I bit my lip hard, glaring at Song Xian. Here was a ray of hope, now being strangled in its cradle. Song Xian smirked and snatched the phone from my hand, hanging up the call. You're lying, I yelled, grabbing Song Xian's collar in anger. Song Xian laughed. You can choose not to believe me, after all, it's just a lie. Wanhee, would you dare gamble Jiang Yan's life with me? I couldn't. Song Xian pinched my face. Wanhee, here's your second choice, call Jiang Yan, say whatever you want to say. Since you'll never see him again. Everything around us fell silent, the only sound left was the wind mercilessly blowing through my hair. I slapped Song Xian hard across the face, calling him a bastard. He smiled, pressing the cold barrel of a gun gently against my forehead. Be good, make a choice, police or Jiang Yan, you die. Or, should Jiang Yan die? My breathing was heavy, my vision darkening, my whole body trembling. It turns out that in my past life, my death in a car accident was also by Song Xian's hand. In his eyes, I was meant to be an obedient puppet. If I did not comply with his wishes, death awaited. After a long while, I closed my eyes, hot tears rolling down. I'll call Jiang Yan. Song Xian's smile froze on his lips. Then go ahead, but remember to hide your feelings well. If he senses something's amiss and the police come, you know the consequences. I dialed the number. The cheerful ringtone sounded through the receiver. It was a ringtone I had personally set for Jiang Yan. This time, I waited a long time before the call was answered. Jiang Yan sounded unstable. Hee, what's wrong? I'll be home tonight. I knelt in the chilling wind, covering my mouth tightly, wiping away the tears that wouldn't stop falling. The gun tapped against the back of my head. Click. I heard the crisp sound of the gun being cocked. It wasn't until Jiang Yan called my name several times that I managed to force a smile and say, Jiang Yan. Happy birthday. He paused, then chuckled. Didn't we say we'd wait until tonight? With a forced smile, I gasped for fresh air. I couldn't wait. I'm too impatient. What about my present? Song Xian grabbed my hair, pulling it back, pressing the gun harder. I struggled to breathe, my voice trembling. There's none. I didn't prepare any gift. I didn't even have time to buy a cake. Jiang Yan paused. Then shouldn't you compensate me somehow? After a long while, I closed my eyes. Then I'll give you half an hour to get home. I'll be upset if you're late. All right, I'll wait at home like a good girl. If you're scared of the dark, turn on the lights. Jiang Yan, I love you. I love you too. After a few flickers, the screen plunged into darkness. I curled up, crying out in pain. Song Xian snatched my phone away and threw it down the cliff. Get in the car, feeling utterly defeated. I got into the car and no longer responded to anything Song Xian said. Song Xian began reminiscing about our past. As he recounted, I realized his misunderstandings about me had reached absurd levels, even when I gave him a pack of snacks. Song Xian thought I liked him. My silence ultimately infuriated Song Xian. He went mad, his tone urgent and terrifying. He bit and gnawed at my lips. Let's die together. Is it okay? Let us be buried together. My eyes had already lost their sparkle. I don't want to die in the soil. Jiang Yan would go mad if he saw it. If I am destined to die tonight, then just like in my past life, I'll fall and vanish without a trace. When we reached a certain point in the tunnel, I suddenly stood up and grabbed the steering wheel. The piercing sound of brakes echoed through the night sky. The car swerved, heading towards the roadside fence. The world turned into a blur of lights and shadows. Song Xian's angry shouts, the driver's terrified scolding, the incessant honking, and the sudden burst of bright white lights mingled together. In an instant, they filled all my senses. Boom, a loud crash thundered through the heavens. The ringing in my ears drowned out everything else. The car had been stopped by something. After a brief suffocation, I came to, and a strong will to survive made me desperately pull the door handle. Suddenly, someone firmly grabbed my wrist. Turning around, it was Song Xian. A tube was sticking out of his chest, blood mixed with foam spurted from his mouth. Hee, die with me, will you? I've come this far for you, I've harmed so many people, you cannot leave me. I saw the pleading in his eyes, tears rolled down one by one, I didn't speak. I pried Song Xian's fingers off one by one, pushed open the door, and walked out numbly. The surroundings were brightly lit, red and blue lights flashed everywhere, the sound of police sirens, the buzzing of ambulances, it was so noisy I couldn't discern any direction. I limped towards the front of the van. There was a Rolls-Royce, it was sprawled in front of the van, now emitting white smoke. The car was completely unrecognizable.
Ah!
I let out a dumb, short cry, blood flowed down. Covering one of my eyes, I staggered to the front of the car. I saw a car accident scene just like in my past life. Jiang Yan's car was wrecked, the driver's door was missing, the person was gone too. Terrifying memories surged, and I instinctively ran towards the cliff. Many people rushed up and grabbed me. I fell to the ground, my knee scraped, and I crazily crawled towards the cliff. Apart from the ugly cries, I couldn't utter a single word. Why, even after starting over, is it still the same? Jiang Yan had driven his car, blocking the original path of the van. He died for me. Save people, I pleaded incoherently, struggling frantically in someone's arms. The ringing in my ears made my head ache. The noisy crowd was like garbage, dumped all into my ears. I clutched the ground desperately, my nails lifting, bloodied, until that person forcefully grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to turn around. That's when I saw Jiang Yan, his face covered in blood, kneeling before me. His eyes were red, his mouth opening and closing, but I couldn't hear clearly. My teeth were chattering, my arms trembling, even my skin was quivering, like a hideous, terrifying monster. My fingers were deeply embedded into his flesh. Jiang Yan hugged me, stroking my hair. It took a long time before I could barely make out his words. Go to sleep, I'll sleep it off. But this sleep was far from peaceful. Nightmare after nightmare struck me. One moment I was standing at Jiang Yan's funeral, the next I was lying in the cold, damp earth. Then, I saw Song Xian with his hollow, wide eyes fiercely staring at me. I struggled helplessly, nearly drowning in these terrifying dreams. Until suddenly, I surfaced, gasping for air. The glaring lights made it hard to open my eyes, and the ticking of machines filled my ears. Pain shot through my body, my bones felt as if they were broken. When Jiang Yan entered, I was clutching the railing, struggling to keep myself upright. Nearly collapsing headfirst, he called out, dropping the fruits he was carrying. He caught me in his arms. In a panic, I clung to him, comforted by the steady and strong beat of his heart. Only then did the nightmare begin to fade. Gently stroking my hair, Jiang Yan soothed me. Don't worry, just rest a bit more, wait until you're better. Mom, Dad, and the child, they're all fine, it's just you. His attempt to hide his trembling was unsuccessful. Tears began to soak into my collar. Do you think I could live if you died? My throat was sore and painful from previous screaming, damaging my vocal cords, and I found myself momentarily unable to speak. That day, I followed Jiang Yan closely, not leaving his side. Any small disturbance would frighten me, making me cling tightly to him. Eventually, he had no choice but to curl up in bed with me, holding me as we fell asleep. A week later, I began to talk again. By then, I was feeling much better. Though my speech was still somewhat sluggish, turning on my phone, I saw that the news was dominated by the deaths of Song Xian and Song Jingping. Song Xian died in a car accident, Song Jingping of illness. Overnight, the Song family crumbled to pieces. Below, fans mourned their loss. The turbulent undercurrents hidden beneath this facade of peace were unknown to anyone. This triggered the reopening of numerous old cases, awaiting proper investigation and resolution. Not long after the incident, Jiang Yan acquired all the industries under the Song family, climbing into the top 10 of this year's most influential billionaires list. Overnight, all suspicions about Jiang Yan disappeared without a trace. In a way, the Jiang family had become a truly low-profile yet vast business empire. I often found myself staring out the window, lost in thought. Memories of Song Xian would occasionally resurface, pulling at my nerves. For those of us who grew up in an orphanage, our reliance on emotional bonds is often much stronger than usual. The pleasant memories of my childhood are my most treasured possessions. Song Xian always said I betrayed him, but didn't he betray me as well? I packed up Song Xian's belongings and, before his cremation, I asked Jiang Yan to deliver them to the funeral home. Those little objects disappeared into the flames, vanishing from this world. The day I was discharged from the hospital, the weather was perfect. I was playfully angry with Jiang Yan because when I sang "Happy Birthday" to him, my voice sounded like a duck, which made him try to hide his laughter by quickly bowing his head. I felt like he was laughing at me. When the Secretary General came to pick me up, I stood in the wind wearing a fluffy hat, my face cold, vowing never to speak to Jiang Yan again. Suddenly, a gentle voice reached out, hello sir, did you drop this handkerchief? Jiang Yan and I turned around together. We saw a beautiful lady holding Jiang Yan's handkerchief. He nodded politely, yes, that's mine, thank you. The girl blushed, about to pull out her phone, but upon catching my gloomy gaze, she suddenly realized something. Muttering an apology, she hurried away. I opened the car door and got in. Jiang Yan followed, asking, what would you like to eat tonight? Mockingly mimicking his tone, I retorted, a handkerchief, thanks. Jiang Yan paused, then turned to face the window, covering his mouth with his hand. Minutes later, my angry voice filled the car. Jiang Yan, how dare you laugh? Try laughing one more time, alright, no more laughing.
Ah.
No laughing, when Jiang Tuanzi was born. He looked like a little monkey. I held Jiang Yan's face more than once, repeatedly checking. You haven't had plastic surgery, have you? Jiang Yan, holding a milk bottle in one hand and supporting my lower back with the other, charmed me with his profound eyes. The doctor said the child will look better as he grows. Jiang Yan learned parenting more thoroughly than I did. That month, he tirelessly took care of Tuanzi. After the first month, the child grew up a bit. I could vaguely see Jiang Yan's features in his face. Finally, my anxious heart was put to rest. In a blink, Tuanzi was 3.5 years old. Calculating the time, in my past life, Jiang Yan and I only lived to this age. Remembering the overwhelming online ridicule Jiang Yan faced back then felt like another lifetime. I thought Jiang Yan's love letters would remain a secret in my heart. But one morning, this matter was unexpectedly leaked online. Jiang Yan, overseas, received a call from his company's public relations department. President Jiang, Miss Wan is trending. In the video, I was ranting in a bar while Jiang Yan was not home. Our Jiang Yan, despite his cold and detached appearance, secretly writes love letters. No way, let me sneak one out for you to see. Netizens were placing bets in the comments. I bet 50 cents she's bluffing. I'll wager $1 she can get it. 20 minutes have passed. Did she get the love letter? Hashtag can he get the love letter hashtag became a trending topic, and it was rapidly climbing. At this moment, I was unaware that I was trending, busy turning Jiang Yan's study upside down. I had found it here in my previous life, why wasn't it here now? I was frantically searching left and right. Just as I was about to reach under the desk, the study door suddenly opened. A tall silhouette blocked the light. I quickly rose from under the desk, eyes wide, staring at Jiang Yan, whom I hadn't seen in half a month, frozen stiff. What are you doing? Jiang Yan's tone was very calm, devoid of the warmth of a long-awaited reunion. I grabbed Tuanzi, who looked utterly confused next to me, pushing forward. I honestly admitted, she did it, and I was just cleaning up the mess. Jiang Tuanzi, with his toothless grin, called out in a baby voice, Daddy. Jiang Yan naturally picked up Tuanzi, glanced at the open safe, and raised his eyebrows slightly. Tuanzi is really smart. Even knows the password?
Yeah.
I laughed awkwardly and watched in despair as Jiang Yan handed Tuanzi over to the nanny. As the nanny left, she kindly closed the door behind her. I heard. Went to the bar while I was away. I was doomed. Could he possibly know about my comments on the handsome guy? Just as I was about to discreetly slide under the table, Jiang Yan effortlessly pulled me out from under it and placed me on the table. With a click, his watch came undone and fell into the chair. Terrified, I immediately confessed, sorry, I just took a glance, and politely complimented them. Jiang Yan paused and asked softly, them? You're quite daring. I was completely terrified and confessed everything in a panic. I came to steal love letters. His fiery kiss fell upon me, silencing my incessant chatter. Did you manage to steal them? Jiang Yan's husky voice made my whole body go weak. Leaning against his shoulder, I said, I don't know where they are, and after you steal them, I remembered the questioning look in my best friend's eyes. They are to be shown to someone else. Jiang Yan's low chuckle sounded in my ear. Some things aren't meant to be shown to others. You're lying. I've seen them myself. My words suddenly stuck in my throat. In this life, everything has changed. In the past life, despite such cold treatment, Jiang Yan's love letters were deeply affectionate. Who knows what he could turn them into now? Realizing something was amiss, I said, I won't look anymore. That won't do. Jiang Yan held me and brought me in front of a cabinet. The surface clearly reflected my sweaty face. I covered my face, embarrassed. Don't, I won't look anymore. It's too late. Jiang Yan opened a hidden compartment, and a mass of letters poured out. He casually opened one and placed it in my hand. I love you so much. As I read the words, my face burned red. Pervert, I won't read anymore, I won't. But Jiang Yan wouldn't let me go, holding my chin, his voice gentle. I've wanted this for a long time. Will you read it out loud? In my panic, I slapped him. The moderate force made Jiang Yan laugh. If you like, we can do it this way too. Good, try again. You can hit harder. Jiang Yan, you pervert, let me go. I told you, you can't escape. Looking at other handsome guys behind my back, that's an added crime. That day, he locked me in the study for 24 hours. After that, I never mentioned the love letters again. Later, When the media asked me in an interview, Miss Wan, where exactly are those love letters, this time, I wasn't as spirited as before, facing the camera, without blinking an eye, I quickly responded. What love letters? I was just bragging, really.